We are just 1 week away from the start of NFL free agency, the official start of when players can sign other teams away, and the New York Jets are sure to be involved. We're going to do our final free agency preview. I'm going to give you one player realistically that I am targeting at every position in need. And as Jets fans, if you're a Jet fan, you know that's a heck of a lot of positions. But there's a whole lot of other NFL news to talk about. Guys, you know what's going on. We've got 3 and out. We've got Jets trivia. Maybe, just maybe, we'll spin the wheel. You know what's up. It's Wednesday night. It's 7 p.m. and we are live. And well. Welcome everybody back to New York Sports, WickerMedia. I'm Watsu-K99. I am your party host here for our weekly Wednesday Night Live extravaganza. Thank you everybody for hanging out with me tonight. Hope you're having a fantastic week. It has been a crazy week for me. This is the first time in, I don't know how many shows I've done now, but it's been going on like 3 years of doing this live show. I should be counting my episode numbers, I know, but this is the first time I've had to take an energy shot to get me through. That's how insane life is right now. That's how insane this new job is. But hey, that's just part of the deal. You do what you got to do. But I am thrilled that it is showtime when I get to hang out with you all and we get to talk some sports. We get to talk about what's going on, and wherever it goes, it goes. So if you're in the chat, feel free to say hello. If you have any thoughts, you have any questions, you got any comments, your voice is welcome. Your voice matters here. And reminder, 15 likes tonight, we spin the wheel. The infamous Jets wheel, the mystery wheel. We don't know which wheel it's going to be, but we will spin the wheel. So before we get into the Jets talk, I think it's time to get a little bit into the world of New York sports and talk about what's going on. And we're going to do that right now in a segment that we like to call 3 and Out. First of all, the New York Knickerbockers, amazing win on Sunday, blowing out the San Antonio Spurs, winners of 11 straight. They go up to Toronto on Tuesday, a 111-95 win for the Knicks. That was a great one. All 5 starters score in double figures. You know, the Raptors have not beaten the Knicks in 3 years. The last time they beat them was the winter of 2023. It has been a long time since the Raptors got a victory over the Knicks. And then tonight, the Knicks host the defending NBA champions, the Oklahoma City Thunder. I saw the video circulating on social media. The Thunder players complaining that they got to walk up a ramp in Madison Square Garden after they get off the bus. I mean, really? You're going to complain about a ramp? Really? My God. Hey, congrats that they won the NBA title, but that is some soft-ass behavior right there. But the Thunder also coming off a back-to-back. They beat the Bulls last night in Chicago, so it's a back-to-back for both teams. After this game for the Knicks, it is Denver and then the Lakers. It is no doubt the heavy part of the schedule. I am still hopeful they can somehow pass the Celtics, win that Atlantic Division title, and clinch the number 2 seed. On to baseball. The World Baseball Classic, if you're into that, starts Wednesday night, and the first game is a barn burner. China Taipei against Australia. I think the only way this game would be anywhere near exciting is if it was the finals in the international pool in the Little League World Series tournament up in Williamsport. But the U.S. begins Friday night against Brazil. You've got 24 teams, 4 pools. Basically, the top 2 in each pool advance to the single elimination quarterfinals. Last time this was played was 3 years ago. Japan beats the U.S. 3-2 in the final. That would probably be the juiciest final again. But remember, no Shohei Ohtani pitching for Japan this time around. And besides the U.S. and Japan, look out for the Dominican Republic. Look out for Venezuela. Those are, in my mind, the top 4 teams in the world. So let's see what happens there. I can't tell you I'll be zoned in on every single game, but maybe once it gets exciting, once the games start to actually mean something, maybe the quarterfinals, I'll be checking that out. And as far as hockey goes, well, the New York Rangers Had a 4-goal rally against Columbus on Monday, down 4-0, scored 4 straight goals, only to lose in overtime. The next game is in the Garden against Toronto on Thursday. But before that game happens, Wednesday night, the Devils host Toronto at the Rock. So the Maple Leafs have back-to-back games. As for the Islanders, they're on the road in Anaheim on Wednesday. Then it's at the Kings on Thursday. This hockey season has been ridiculous. I will never understand how the Islanders and the Penguins are in the 2-3 spots in the Atlantic. I figured Pittsburgh was a bottom 2, bottom 3 for sure team in this division. And the fact that the Rangers and the Devils are last and next to last, respectively, behind the likes of Columbus and Philly, just ridiculous. But the NHL trade deadline this Friday, so less than 48 hours away. So will the Rangers trade Vincent Trocheck? Will the Islanders load up and enhance the team enhance their team, which is absolutely going to be in the playoffs? But they're going to have some tough opponents. I mean, they're on course for a second-round matchup with the Carolina Hurricanes, and who knows what's going to happen there. So we shall see. So I'd say that's enough of that. And I think it's time to get into a little bit of NFL. Here we go. We've got the great danger zone here. Do memberships turn as slow as Aaron Glenn? If I had to adopt hemorrhoids for a year to not have Tua, okay, then I would. Deal breaker. First of all, Dane, thank you for being a member for the last month. Okay, if I'm understanding memberships, if I had to adopt hemorrhoids for a year to not have Tua, I would. Yeah, I have no interest in having Tua Tagovailoa on this team. We will get into a whole bunch of that tonight. We will get into the quarterbacks. Whole lot of stuff to get into. But guys, what the heck? I got a little bit of excitement. I'm ready for this off season to begin. I got a chant in me. I know you got a chant in you. So let me... All right, Jets, Jets. So let's get into a little bit of news, and because a lot has happened since we were last hanging out together. So we'll talk about the comp picks first, because there have been some updates on that comp pick. The Jets draft allotment has changed quite a bit. We were projecting maybe 2 fifths and a seventh. Well, that is not going to be the case anymore. The pick for DJ Reed, the fact that DJ Reed left and that comp pick the Jets got based off contracts, a couple other factors, that is now projected to be a 4th round pick. So now all of a sudden, the Jets have 2 4th-round picks. Big deal. They still have the 5th-round pick for Morgan Moses, and that is it. Now, the expectation was they might get a 7th for Ty Conklin. They might get a 7th for Solomon Thomas. But based off the contract amounts, they fall outside the 32 pick limit, because there can only be 32 comp picks in a given draft. And when you factor in the salary, playing time, different things like that, they fall just outside that 32. I don't think it's exactly a huge loss. Like, basically, the Jets lost a chance to draft Mr. Irrelevant. I mean, if I'm going to take, you got your choice here. Do you want a 4th-round pick, or do you want 2 7th-round picks? Give me the 4th every single time and twice on Sunday. And the other thing I find interesting, the Detroit Lions are getting a 3rd-round pick because the Jets hired Aaron Glenn as their head coach. So I do find that rather interesting. So this is the updated draft chart. So the Jets have their 2 first-round picks, their 2 second-round picks, which we've all been talking about, which we all know about. We know they don't have a 3rd-round pick thanks to the Hassan Reddick trade disaster. Then you have the 4th round, where the Jets have their own pick. They also have the comp pick. They'll also have a comp pick at the end of the 5th round. Then they've got a 6th and a 7th round from Buffalo and the 7th rounder from Tennessee. So that 7th rounder from Tennessee is going to be pretty high up. So keep that in mind as well. And then in 2027, what we're looking at, the Jets have their 3 first-rounders, their own, Indy and Dallas. Then they've got all their own picks in rounds 2 through 5. And then they have 6th-round picks from Kansas City and Philadelphia. So that is what we're looking at as far as that goes. Now, I wanted to take a few minutes. I know it's been a week, but I want to spend a minute on the Jermaine Johnson for T'Vondre Sweat trade. Now, of course, that trade cannot be processed until next week, March 11th. That is the beginning of the new league year. So the 49ers with Robert Saleh as defensive coordinator last year, offered the Jets a third-round pick for Jermaine Johnson at the deadline. The Jets said, no, we want a second-round pick. They said, give us a call back when you up your trade offer. That never happened. And now, a few months later, Robert Saleh is the Tennessee head coach, and he gets Jermaine Johnson from the Jets in exchange for Options-Wed. And it makes sense because we know with the Robert Saleh defense, he wants speed. He likes shifty guys. He likes quick guys. Options-Wed at north of 350 pounds is not exactly known for being the fleetest of foot. He can move a little bit, but that's not what you're bringing him in for. But Sweat played all 17 games during his rookie season. That was in 2024. He was a second-round pick then, 6'4", 366 pounds, made 16 starts, finished with 51 tackles, 7 pressures, 1 sack, and a forced fumble, named to the all-rookie team. So a very promising rookie season. Week 1 of 2025 against Denver, Sweat hurts his ankle. That cost him to week 2 against the Rams. And then he re-injured himself before week 3 against the Colts, and he gets placed on injured reserve. Eventually got activated in late October. But one of the reasons, besides scheme fit, the Jets made this trade was the cap situation. Jermaine Johnson is making $13.4 million this year. Options-Wed is making $1.7 million this year. Plus, he's signed for an extra year. Sweat's contract goes through 2027. JJ would be playing on the last year of his contract. Now, last week when we were together, we talked about how the defensive tackle position was the weakest position for the entire offseason. I'm talking about draft and free agency. And the Jets filled the need already. Like, if the Jets don't sign a defensive tackle, at least a prominent one, fine. You could draft the project, but now you've got Sweat, you've got Briggs, you've got Phillips, and you're in a pretty good place right there. So I am encouraged by this, and it allows a whole lot more versatility with those defensive fronts. The Jets can go 3-4. They could go 4-3. Who knows? But what it also means is with the loss of Jermaine Johnson, the Jets will be heavily invested in the edge market, and I don't think it will be just with that first-round pick that they have, with the first-round pick. All right, so then we get into a little bit of the combine. So that, yes, for Jermaine Johnson, Jermaine, we appreciate your time. We thank you for your service. You're a good guy. We'll always have some love for you. But as far as you go with the New York Jets, he gone. JJ, all the best. God bless going forward. Okay, so then we go to the combine news as my mouse has a hair trigger tonight. My goodness. So I don't want to break down a ton of stuff from the combine, but Sonny Styles is the one player I have to mention. This is a player that I think some Jet fans, including me, were hoping might somehow slip to 16. It didn't feel very likely, though. Now it is hard-pressed to see if he will even get past the top 10. Okay, that ain't happening. So he posted the same 40 time as Arvell Reese, first of all. He posted the highest vertical and long jump the combine has seen since 2003. Okay, hey, maybe a fake bong video will emerge the night before the draft. Maybe that'll scare teams off. Who knows? But when you factor in the athleticism, the physicality he plays with, the coverage skills, all of it stands out. When NFL scouts are using Fred Warner as their comparison, you've entered elite prospect territory, and now if you're going to get Sonny Styles, you got to have another pick in the top 10. And I did want to mention the quarterbacks really quick. I read some of the quarterback reviews about how some of them fared. Didn't really affect things all that much. It doesn't seem like it has too much. They ranked their top 5. I saw this in a couple of spots. Fernando Mendoza, he is what he is. He's number 1. The Raiders have basically shut down any thought of a trade. And basically every quarterback not named Mendoza is fighting for second place. And in second place appears to be Ty Simpson. And during his testing on Saturday, a lot of people are saying, hey, you know what? Maybe Ty Simpson, maybe this kid is worthy of a first-round selection in April. There are some people who are very much in favor of it, and there are many people who are dead set against it. Ty Simpson is one of the more polarizing prospects that we have seen in quite some time. Now, he's got some good things going for him. He has solid form. His footwork is excellent, and that, I think, is something that's very overlooked when it comes to quarterbacks. Because without the feet, you can't establish a good base and you can't throw the ball accurately. You can't put as much power on it. He has arm talent. That helps. But again, not a lot of starting experience. If you're drafting him, you're basically going to have him on the bench for at least 1 year, maybe even 2 years. But Simpson will be a first-round quarterback. Might be late first round, but I firmly expect him to go in the first round. Garrett Nussmeier stood out very, very well. Very accurate passing in the Senior Bowl and at the Combine. Showed toughness on his intermediate throws. It's been very encouraging during his offseason. I think there's a good chance Nussmeier goes mid to late third round, possibly early fourth. Drew Allar from Penn State had a very, very big day. Still injured, couldn't go through every single test. But when you have a big arm and good athleticism, which Allar has both in spades, the Combine is always going to be a good showcase for you. All right, and then we go to number 5, Clade Klubnik. He was turning some heads down there in Indianapolis. He seems like he could be a fourth-round pick, possibly. His arm has a good amount of zip. He's got the accuracy that you want, has started for multiple years in Clemson. Other quarterbacks may have better intangibles, but he has definitely helped his stock. All right, OG Fans 1985, how you doing? What's up to you, my friend? Welcome aboard. Hope you're having a fantastic night. And some reports have also come out about some of the players the Jets have met with. So I got a few names here for you to give you. Ty Simpson, quarterbacks. Ty Simpson, Texas Tech, Baron Morton, Arkansas's Talon Green. Wide receivers, they met with 3. Carnell Tate, Denzel Boston, and Jordan Tyson, all players expected to go in the top 40. Only one offensive lineman they met with, that was Georgia offensive guard Micah Morris. Defensive tackle, they met with a number of players. Peter Woods from Clemson. From Texas Tech, Lee Hunter. He's expected to go second round. From Texas A&M, Tyler Onyetum. Hopefully I'm getting that one right. Defensive end, Ruben Bain Jr., David Bailey from Texas Tech. A lot of these Texas colleges from Texas getting some love. Arvell Reese, they met with him. We all know his story. South Carolina defensive back Jalen Kilgore, and they met with Caleb Downs, the safety from Ohio State as well. So the Jets haven't begun all their interviews yet. These were more informal meetings. So as time goes on, we will get more and more into that. Dane wants Kenyon Sadiq no matter what. Dane wants to hit up that tight end position. You know, I was watching Green Bean and Dom. I was watching their mock draft, and they weren't quite so sold on Kenyon Sadiq. I was actually surprised Sadiq was available with the number 44 pick. But I got to tell you, if he's available, we need weapons, okay? And I just got to say this. I'm going to bring myself in a little bit more on this one. I know Frank Reich is not accustomed to calling offenses with 2 tight ends, but you know what? You get the best weapons you can, and you make them work. And if you have to adjust your scheme a little bit to make those weapons have an impact, then you know what? A good offensive coordinator can adjust his scheme. So I am very excited to see that. If all the wide receivers are gone, if Tyson, Lemon, and Tate are all gone, I strongly have to consider Sadiq at 16. Pair him up with Mason Taylor. Hey, let's party. You know, this coaching staff's been changed over a little bit. You got the tight end coach in from Pittsburgh, Roberts. I think Alfredo Roberts is his name. And if he worked with guys like Washington, Freiermuth, guys like that, let him work with some new blood, some young blood, and let's see what happens there. By the way, speaking of young blood, did you see the remake of the movie Young Blood? The great hockey movie from the mid-'80s with Patrick Swayze, God rest his soul, Rob Lowe, and the absolutely divine Cynthia Gibb. You see they're remaking that? That's coming out in a couple days. Yeah, I'm sorry. Cynthia Gibb's not playing Jesse in that movie, then I don't think I got much interest, just got to say. But yeah, that is, if there was a classic 80s hockey movie, with all due respect to Slapshot, it's Young Blood. The music, the light, the story, everything. That is like pure 80s right there. So I said Young Blood. It just came to mind. So that's my official movie review for the night. So I hope everybody enjoyed it. Cheers. Having a little tropical sunrise flavored water tonight because I need a little pick-me-up tonight. My gosh. All right. So let's talk about some of the biggest news of the last, 36 hours, and that's Breece Hall. So the Jets placed the franchise tag, specifically the non-exclusive franchise tag, on number 20. So that gives the Jets a right to match any offer Breece Hall receives. Now, if Breece Hall agrees to an offer with another team that the Jets don't match, that team owes the Jets 2 first-round picks. Now, if this was a quarterback, this was a pass rusher, I could say maybe it's possible. For a running back, I don't see that as a likely scenario. So Breece this year, unless a contract is worked out, will make $14.293 million. That's just $3 million over the transition tag. And I'm glad the Jets gave him the franchise tag. It is $3 million more, but it gives them that much more security. Whereas with a transition tag, the Jets would not be owed any draft compensation if another team signed him away. Now, July 15th, that's an important date. That's 4.5 months from the time of this recording. July 15th is the deadline where the Jets can sign him to an extension or he plays on that 1-year tender. Now, remember, this has happened before with David Harris. I know it's been about 15 years, but the Jets franchised him and not too long after that signed him to a 4-year contract. Now, I would not expect a contract to happen in the next week. I think the free agent market will run its course. Let's see what happens with Kenneth Walker. Let's see what happens with Travis Etienne. Let's see what happens with Rico Dowdle, with some of these guys. Now, I go back to Javonte Williams, who was, in my mind, a running back I really would have targeted had Breece hit the open market. Now, the Cowboys inked him for just $8 million a year. I thought it was a very team-friendly deal. I think Javonte is a very good running back, same age as Breece, about at the same level of production, slightly different styles of running with the football. But I thought that was a very good deal for Dallas. Now we don't know what the Jets offered. We don't know what Breece and his agents, what Team Breece is asking for. But if he was to ask for $12 million over 3 years, for instance, like $36 million over 3 years, $12 million per, absolutely give it to him. And I know it always comes down to guaranteed money, but if it's 3 years, $36 million, $20 million of it guaranteed, I would give him that contract. I would be more than happy with it. I expect, especially in a season where you are expecting, if I'm being kind, substandard quarterback play. That is about the kindest way I could say it. You need to have a running attack at the very, very least. And I love Braylon Allen. I like Isaiah Davis. But they don't bring what Breece brings to the table. Not at this point, anyway. With the versatility, with the ability to change speeds, things like that. He has the best speed, I think, of any of them. So maybe now that you have an offensive coordinator who should actually know what he's doing, maybe he has a better idea on how to use Breece Hall. And I still say, upgrade that offensive line a little bit, and it will help him that much more. All right, some other news from around the National Football League. You know what? Let's get into all right, well, my next slide disappeared. All right. Some things around the NFL. The Colts placed the transition tag on Daniel Jones. Now, that is important because a team can only tag one player at a time. Now, Daniel Jones is playing on the transition tag. You know what that means that the Colts cannot do? They cannot tag Alec Pierce, who's a wide receiver a lot of teams want. The Jets should be hot after him if he hits the market. And if he and the Colts cannot work out a contract, he is now going to hit the market. The tag option is gone. It is now too late to tag a player. Now, I'm not betting it's likely that Pierce is going to hit the market, but it just became much more possible. So this Daniel Jones news is very good for Jet fans. Okay, then we get to Kyler Murray. Let's talk about Kyler, shall we? So the news has come out. He will be released next Wednesday. Arizona now owes him $36.8 million in 2026. It makes the Aaron Rodgers contract actually look reasonable by comparison. Swig of energy-flavored water for the working man and woman. Now I'm seeing a lot of Jet fans saying, well, now that he's getting released, you can get him cheap. You should look into him. Now, I'm going to go ahead and just shoot with you all for a moment, okay? I've said it before, I would not take Kyler Murray for free. Well, with a little bit of reflection, I'm going to amend my statement just a little bit. We're human. We have the right to change our minds. Now, I want to just analyze Kyler Murray a little bit here and just explain how I really feel about the idea of him joining the Jets. I can deal with the lack of height a little bit. Okay, he's 5'10" for the record. I could deal with that. Russell Wilson was 5'11", and I wish we could have had him in his prime. I'd say he turned out to have a pretty darn good career. But Frank Reich does like taller quarterbacks ideally. I can deal with the height issue. What I struggle to deal with is a quarterback whose best trait is probably running, but has been, scrambling, but has been dealing with increasing various lower body injuries for the last several years. Foot, knee, ankle, hamstring, you name it. 30 games missed total in 7 years. And it's been more and more games, it seems, over the last couple of years. We're going to talk about that in a moment. What I can't deal with is a quarterback with a career win-loss record of 38, 48, and 1. What I can't deal with is getting to one playoff game in 7 years. What I especially can't deal with, and this is what's worse to me, is a guy who apparently needed a study time clause in his contract because he was too busy playing freaking video games. The only thing I could even begin to handle, and this is barely handle, is a 1-year minimum level contract because he's still getting paid nearly $37 million by the Cardinals. Because we all knew the quarterback position was not going to be good this year anyway. Okay? We're expecting what? Tyson Bagent, Kirk Cousins, Marcus Mariota, something like that. Like mediocre at best quarterbacking is what we're expecting as Jet fans. But if it's a 1-year deal, they could get out of the contract easily after 1 year, and then we go all in for quarterback in 2027. I can deal with it. Murray does have some upside. He is at least capable of being a competent NFL quarterback. I just have a feeling he's going to really, really frustrate us. Now, let's look a little bit more in depth at this man's stats, okay? Let's take a look at how he has really done in his career. So he has been in the NFL for 7 years, made the Pro Bowl twice. Like I said, career record of 38, 48, and 1. Showed pretty good durability the first several years, but 2023 and 2025, it has not worked out all that well. 1 winning record in 7 years. That's it. Okay? Career completion percentage, 67.1. It's not going to knock you out. All right, averaging just under 4,000 passing yards per season. That's an absolutely foreign concept to us as Jet fans. As far as the touchdown to interceptions go, 121 touchdowns, 60 interceptions, so about a 2-to-1 ratio. Not exactly fantastic, but you can at least live with it. And then you look at yards per game, 235.2, pretty solid. 92 rating, fine. They're okay numbers, but I am getting worried about the durability and the fact that his team just never really won with him, that they really didn't go far. I'm not even saying got to a championship game and, lost to a better team. He's been to one playoff game in 7 years and, of course, lost that one. Okay. So Kyler Murray, again, if it wasn't for the attitude, I'd be a little more excited about this. I really would. But when I hear things about leadership issues, not being all that liked in the locker room, it really does worry me. Now, maybe the fact that he's going to be released, maybe that puts a chip on his shoulder. That ticks him off and he realizes, you know what? I'll effing show you. Maybe. I'm not counting on it, but I'm trying to play devil's advocate for just one moment here. I'm not loving the idea of Kyler Murray being a Jet, but for the right contract, and that means as low a contract as possible, we can have the conversation. Because honestly, am I supposed to be excited about the idea of signing a Kenny Pickett, someone like that? I'm just throwing a name out there. Not that I want Kenny Pickett to be catching strays. Not that he can catch the strays with those tiny, tiny hands of his. But that's just one name, okay? That's all I'm saying. Danger zone. Pierce said today he's played well enough to earn testing the market and way more targets than 80. If true, I am hard-pressed not to agree with that particular statement. I can. And then we get into the reports of Tua. Yes. The reports are out there at least looking at Tua. You know what I say to that? Cool. You can look at Tua. You can look at him like roadkill. Okay. You're driving down the road. You're seeing what's out there. You keep driving. You see something on the side of the road, a little bit of blood coming out of it. Quick glimpse. Oh, gosh. Keep on driving down the road and get away from it as fast as possible because the stench of the air is starting to infiltrate your car. That is how I look at Tua Tagovailoa. He's had a few good seasons in his career. One year he actually led the league in passing yards, and I thank him for that because he helped me win a fantasy championship. Just telling you. I mean, I do appreciate the man for that. But we know the injury history, and even last year when he played, he just did not look like the same player at all. I mean, is this a quarterback who looked better than he was because he had Tyreek Hill, he had Jalen Waddle, he had some pretty dynamic running game, and had Mike McDaniel calling plays for him? I don't want Tua anywhere near the New York Jets. If it comes down to Murray or Tua, I'll take Murray. I'm actually at that point. Tua is actually making me yearn for Murray, and I can't believe we've actually gotten this point. Guys, if you're hanging out, please hit that thumbs up button. Really appreciate everybody's support for sure. All right, a couple of other notable releases. Mekhi Becton getting released by the Chargers. I'm not interested in a reunion. And Stephon Diggs, one of the Patriots' woman beaters, he has been released. He will be released at the beginning of the league year as well. So that, I think, is some very interesting news. So then we go on to free agency. And let's get into this. So the Jets, for context, are expected to be at right around $87 or $88 million. Tennessee has the most space. We are either going to be second or third. It's between us and the Raiders, depending on what website you go to. We're either second or third with the most space. Now, I will let you know, when it comes to free agency, I'm focusing heavily on the defense. It was that bad last year. Without a quarterback, your offense is going to have a ceiling. I need to turn this defense over. I want 6, 7, 8 new starters. We already got Tavondre Sweat in the mix, so that's a good sign. But I want to turn this defense over as much as possible. Think about it. This team finished 31st in points allowed per game, almost 30 per game, bottom 5 in sacks, bottom 5 in pass pressures, 4 takeaways all season. By the way, for context, the team with the second fewest takeaways was Washington with 10. Jets only have 4. How damning is that? So we're going to go through each position. I'm just going to leave this one slide up. So I'm just going to go through each what I would call a notable position. We're not going to talk running back. We're not going to talk offensive tackle. If the Jets pick up like a depth player way down on the list, then that's fine. But it's not a place where they need to necessarily get an impact player. So as far as quarterback goes, Daniel Jones has been tagged. I never expected him to come to the Jets anyway. I always expected him back with the Colts. Kirk Cousins is very tricky at this point. Now, Brian Costello is reporting the Jets have no interest. They won't even talk to his representatives. I have not seen that report anywhere else. Not from Schefter, not from Rappaport, not from Pelissero, not from Garofalo. None of these guys are reporting this. Okay, so I'm still taking this with a grain of salt. And I like Costello for the most part, but if he's the only one reporting it, I'm not so sure. Maybe it's a smokescreen. But I'm not willing to believe right now the Jets would rule out Kirk Cousins. I don't know why they would rule out Kirk Cousins. Why would they rule out Kirk Cousins but consider all these other free agent stiff quarterbacks that are out there? Like, are they still in on Joe Flacco, for instance? Are they in on Zach Wilson, for instance? Please. Okay. Then you have Malik Willis. Right now, Miami is the top destination for him. We'll see what winds up happening there. To hook back up with Jeff Hafley, who helped coach him in Green Bay, is something that appeals to him. Marcus Mariota would be another veteran I would have interest in. I've heard some people, including some people online, say Gardner Minshew. My God. Why? Why would you want Gardner Minshew? The guy is a turnover. If Gardner Minshew didn't have a great mustache, would you want him? Please. I have no interest in Gardner Minshew for the Jets. 0. Maybe a little more than 2 just because he'd be cheap. But that's the only reason. But I'm thinking more and more it's going to be a trade situation. If San Francisco really wants a second for Mac Jones, sorry, not making that trade. I might trade a 4 for him. Hopefully the late 4, the comp pick. I would be willing to do that. Hopefully they would, or maybe you trade them a 2 and they give you Mac and like a mid-round pick, like a 4, something like that. Something to help absorb the blow of trading like the 44th pick. I could at least have that conversation. But give me if we get a 3 back from San Francisco, now that would get me interested. But if Jones is too expensive, then you could consider a Davis Mills, a Tanner McKee, a Spencer Rattler, a Tyson Bagent kind of guy. I could see a trade for a mid-level guy, then drafting a mid-round quarterback like a Garrett Nussmeier, like a Carson Beck, like a Drew Allar. Bring back Tyrod Taylor as a 3, and that might be your quarterback room in 2026. Now, there is not one Jets fan on earth who's going to get excited over that. None. But you need at least a competent placeholder. I don't expect any level of major excitement from this quarterback room, so you need to build up other positions. Put your assets in other positions that will make a difference. Now, as far as wide receiver goes, I think the Jets, I still think they get their starter in the draft. I really do. I've already talked about Alec Pierce. Now, there is a good chance that he may hit the market now, unless the Colts agree to a deal with Daniel Jones and then they tag Pierce, or they sign Pierce to an extension. But remember, Pierce delivered a career year in 2025, was 17th in yards per route run, and 21.3 yards per reception. That's dynamite. Juwan Jennings is interesting. 18 contested catches in the regular season. That was 4th among wide receivers. Wan'Dale Robinson, he interests me a little bit. And guys, if you have any thoughts on these free agents, or if you have some you want to throw out, throw it right down there in the chat. Wan'Dale Robinson, hey, he flashed when he was given a bigger role with the Giants in 25. 1.87 yards per route run. His drop rate only 3.2%. That's 4th best among wide receivers. Not bad. And he was used more downfield last year. Only 25 years old. He's really a slot target, though. And my problem with that is I want Garrett to be used a little bit more in the slot. I think he works well there. He go inside, outside. So I'm not sure about bringing in Wan'Dale Robinson. I really want an outside wide receiver. So right now I'm thinking about Romeo Doubs. That is a player that I would be targeting. Okay. He has averaged over 1.6 yards per route run in each of the last 3 seasons. Very good at winning at the catch point. Wins about 50% of his contested catches. Very, very good. And also he can run block for you. I think Romeo Doubs would be a good fit. If you're going free agency for a wide receiver, I think Doubs would be a good place to look if you can't get Alec Pierce. Wan'Dale Robinson, not too sold on him. Christian Kirk, most of these other guys like Christian Kirk, okay, but it's not exactly going to knock me out. Now, a tight end, I'm looking for a number 2 tight end. All right. Now, this could be a draft option, but I would look at free agency, and I'm looking at Isaiah Likely, 8.1 career yards per target. Got to note, he was kind of limited last year, had a foot injury that he suffered in training camp, but he's only going to be 26 years old. I think he's going to have a big market in free agency. It seemed like every Ravens game, he had a big catch or two. I'm not saying he's Trey McBride. I'm not saying he's Travis Kelce in his prime, but I'm saying he could complement Mason Taylor as a very good tight end. Help bring him along, help mentor him. I think they would work together very well. I like the idea of pairing up Likely and Taylor. And again, with the former Pittsburgh tight end coach here, he probably knows Isaiah Likely pretty well. Maybe that helps. I would also look at Cade Otton from the Buccaneers, another tight end who it was never like the most consistently productive tight end, but in the red zone, it seems like he would get these occasional targets. It's like if he made a catch, it always seemed to be a big catch. You know what I mean? But Otton has played over 3,900 snaps in the last 4 seasons. He's actually played the second most snaps among tight ends. And he's also a fantastic pass blocker as well. I like the sound of that. You have guys like Fabian Moreau, Durham Smythe, they could block. I don't know if the Jets are going to keep Jelani Woods or Stone Smart. I'd rather see them keep Jelani, to be honest. I still think he has some upside. But the other tight end I would target, and I go after this guy, especially for budget reasons, is Charlie Kolar. He ranked 8th among tight ends with a 71 run blocking grade. He caught 77% of his targets, no drops, 50% contested catch rate. And remember, when he played college football in Iowa, 23 touchdowns in 4 years. In his final season, over 750 yards receiving, a drop rate of under 3%, and a 54% contested catch rate. With Mark Andrews there in Baltimore, I think Kolar and or Likely are going to look for more playing time. And I think the Jets could offer it to him. So I really hope we come away with either Likely or Kolar. I just think Kolar is more of the sneaky one. I think Likely is going to have a little bit of a bigger market. And maybe the Jets could swoop in and bring Kolar in on maybe a 2-year contract. So I would look at doing that. We go to the interior offensive line. At guard, you got to figure out what you're going to do as far as a starter goes. I would still bring back AVT. I'm going to say it again. 2024, when he played a full season, had the 4th lowest pressure rate allowed among guards. When he plays, he is a top guard in football. I will continue to defend this. I will continue to say this. I will continue to argue this. I know the durability drives you crazy. I get it. Now, if it was a chronic back or a chronic knee, I'd be more worried. These have been fluky injuries, like 2 tricep injuries for crying out loud. Different arms, by the way. But I would rather have that than an okay guard whose ceiling is only here. I will take the chance that he could stay healthy for a year, for 2-3 years. I would still do it. So I want to bring back AVT. If he leaves, I've mentioned David Edwards in Buffalo, a very steady physical left guard. I would basically raid Buffalo. For years, Buffalo would raid the Jets of their offensive linemen. Brian Winters, James Carpenter, Vlad Dukas. God only knows why they did that. Dylan Parham's another one, 4-year starter with the Raiders. Now, Parham may not be a Pro Bowl player, but he's a very capable starter, 26 years old. He has a pretty high floor. Tevin Jenkins. This one, I like Tevin Jenkins. He could run block. His on-field ability is rarely in question. That's the issue. When he's on the field, he's very good. But he's only played about 2,300 snaps in 4 years. Now, he turns 28 in a couple of months. If you want to take a swing on talent, Tevin Jenkins is like a different version of AVT. He's now on his 2nd team already, though. But if AVT leaves, you might want to take a swing on Tevin Jenkins. Because, again, when you're the Jets, you may not attract the marquee players. You're going to have to attract some guys who have a few warts. And Tevin Jenkins might be one. If you want to take another chance on somebody who hasn't quite worked out, Zion Johnson. It hasn't quite gone as well as expected with the Chargers. He's still only 26 years old. I expect the Jets to go for younger free agents, 2nd-year contract guys. That seems to be an indication of what Darren Muji likes to do. If last offseason was any indication, maybe Zion Johnson. Ideally, I would still like them to bring back AVT, but I am letting you know there are other options at guard if AVT leaves. I'm not so much interested in John Simpson. I don't think he's a very good run blocker. Tired of the penalties. I'm willing to let him walk. Now, to me, the Jets still need to get a center. I don't want Josh Myers starting. To me, Josh Myers is a very, very good backup. He could start a couple games for you if you absolutely need it. But if you are counting on him to play 17 games, you are not going to be happy. He can't run block, is the bottom line. He's an okay at best pass blocker, and he's a terrible run blocker. If you want guys like Braylon Allen to succeed, you upgrade center. Now, Tyler Linderbaum, I would throw a bag of cash at the man. A whole lot of cash. And it's probably going to take at least $20 million a year to bring him in. I don't know if he's going to hit the market. The Ravens are trying to keep him. If he does hit the market, I don't know why he wouldn't go to the Giants with his old coach there. John Michael Schmitz has not quite worked out as they would have hoped. Joe Tippmann was clearly the better draft pick. See, Joe Douglas knew what he was doing. But if you can't get Linderbaum, you can go a couple places. You could go with Ethan Posich from Cleveland. Now, he's played over 800 snaps each of the last 4 years. He's 30 years old. He's given up 42 pressures. Last year, he gave 42 pressures, 7th fewest among centers. Pretty good. Cade Mays from Carolina played almost 800 snaps for the Panthers last year. Pretty good pass blocker. Hasn't allowed a sack in either of the last 2 years, but he is not as good a run blocker. But 26 years old, you can work with that. Luke Fortner from New Orleans, that's another option. Connor McGovern is who I would go after, realistically. If Tyler Linderbaum is not gettable, Connor McGovern to me is the only other starter who to me would legitimately make me happy. He is a top 10 center, very good pass blocker, can play guard if you absolutely need him to. Now, why would he leave Josh Allen? I can't answer that question, but I think there's a good chance either one or both of these Buffalo offensive linemen, Edwards and McGovern, hit the market. And the Jets, to me, need a center. And I don't want to go into the draft needing to draft a center with like a 2nd-round pick. I don't want to have to do that. So I really do hope the Jets find a way to bring in a really good center in here. Let's see. Is there any news going on here? No, not seeing anything too exciting. Okay. Just checking the social media real quick to see if we got anything. All right, so let's go over to defense. Now we go to edge rusher, maybe the biggest need that the Jets have that they could realistically fill. Now, I look at a couple of players. I don't think the Jets are necessarily going to go heavy on edge because I think they're investing a premium pick with a first-round pick at edge. I think they're going to go more of a mid-level free agent. So I don't necessarily see a Jalen Phillips coming. I don't see a Trey Hendrickson coming. So I'll give you a couple of names I think are interesting. I got several names for you. Boye Mafe from Seattle. So he has developed into a consistent presence on the edge. In 3 seasons, he's racked up 146 pressures. Pretty good. Also, he's got 41 stops in run defense. It's kind of middle of the road. I'd like to see him play a little bit more. Maybe putting him on the outside would work. Derek Barnett, when I was on with Nick Shine this past weekend, I talk about Derek Barnett as sort of an under-the-radar free agent. Now, keep in mind, the Jets hired the Texans linebacker coach. I like that. Bring in some Texans defense. Bring some of that mojo into Florham Park. I'm here for it. But Barnett, the former Eagle, logged 387 snaps last year, 209 as a pass rusher, produced 16 pressures, 6 sacks, 6 quarterback hits. So his pass rush production can be a little volatile, but he finishes plays well. He is in the 79th percentile and sack rate over the last 3 years. Very, very good against the run. So I like the idea of bringing in a Derek Barnett. Chase Son, of course, is from New England. He's hitting the market. 54 quarterback pressures in the regular season, tied for 18th among edge rushers, added 18 more in the playoffs. He's never really lived up to being a first-round draft pick in my mind, but he looked much better with New England last year. Oh, I guess that's Mike Vrabel for you. And he is picking pretty much a perfect time to hit the open market. I don't know why he would leave New England. They still got about $40 million in cap space, but they haven't signed him yet. Jadeveon Clowney. Now, look, I know he's 33 years old, but believe it or not, only 2 players topped his 19.1 pressure rate in 2025 with the Cowboys. 2 players in the league, Micah Parsons and Will Anderson. Jadeveon Clowney ranked 3rd. Isn't that crazy? If you go by pass rush win rate, which is more of an ESPN metric, 16.8%. Top 15 there too. Malcolm Koonce for the Raiders. Missed 2024 with a torn ACL. This past year had a 14.4 pass rush win rate that ranked him in about the 73, 74 percentile. Very good run defender as well. Played on the opposite side of Max Crosby for a little while. He's going to hit the market. I think he's more of a 4-3 end, but still a player that I would at least look at. Al-Qadim Muhammad, the ex-Lion. If Glenn wants to bring in, one of his former Lions, he can look at that. Other guys I think are kind of falling off, like an Arden Key, an AJ Espinosa. Their numbers have been dropping as of late. One player I would really target is Arnold Ebiketie from the Atlanta Falcons. Now, he is coming off his best season as a pass rusher, played 384 snaps this year, had a 73.4 pass rushing grade, and a 16.8% pass rush win rate. So Arnold Ebiketie is somebody that I would look at. Now, one thing with Atlanta, I'm a little worried because James Pierce has gotten into quite a bit of legal trouble over the last few weeks, and maybe Atlanta is desperate to retain Ebiketie because they don't want to lose both their big-time pass rushers. But if Ebiketie hits the market, I'm on the phone with him pretty quickly. Linebacker. Inside linebacker, the Jets need a starter, and I want to get one quickly. All right, Devin Lloyd, I don't expect it. He'll be getting north of $15 million. I don't think it makes sense. You look at Devin Bush, 3 interceptions last year, really, really good in coverage. He came from Cleveland. You got to like that Jim Schwartz influence. Nakobe Dean from Philadelphia, a player a lot of Jet fans wanted before the draft a couple of years ago. He has 26 pressures in 2 seasons, was hurt a good deal of 2025. He's actually missed 25 games in 4 years. So the durability does worry you, but he's a fantastic blitzer. Against the run, he's very good. But Brian Flores' defense in Minnesota, Todd Bowles' unit in Tampa Bay, Jim Leonard over in Buffalo, I think all of them would want to take a chance on Nakobe Dean. I just think they're going to be better fits for him. I don't know if it's going to work. Of course, Alex Anzalone is somebody that you have to look at. It's Probably the free agent. If you had to bet on one player going to the Jets, it's him. I don't know. Tampa Bay is really hot after him from what I hear. I think Anzalone is going to get a multi-year deal despite being 32 years old, 32 when the season starts. And he's missed fewer than 8% of his tackles in both 2024 and 2025, brings leadership, brings playmaking ability. Aaron Glenn loves him. He loves Aaron Glenn. It's no secret. If you go back to the press conferences, they've basically talked about how much they like each other. But will Anzalone, if it comes down to money, would he possibly take less money or go to a worse team just so he could be back with Aaron Glenn and bring the leadership that defense sorely needs? I don't know. Justin Stranad. So he put together the best season of his career in 2025, 72 PFF grade, very solid across the board, very good blitzer. We need playmakers on. If you're not a playmaker or a leader, I don't need you on this defense. That's the bottom line. But 17 pressures on just 82 pass rushing snaps. That's a very under the radar name too. Justin Stranad. Quay Walker is a name I wanted to bring up. I was looking into him, but he's been struggling against coverage, which is sort of a hallmark of Jets linebackers as of late. He allowed 653 yards when targeted, fifth most among any linebackers. I know he's only 25. He makes the tackles that he has the opportunity to make, but the abilities he's shown in college have not fully shown up consistently on the pro level. I would go after Leo Chenal. I'm pretty much shaking him over Anzalone just for the youth reasons, but at 25 years old, I think he has huge upside. Played under Steve Spagnuolo. I always like that. Can blitz very well. He's generated 48 pressures in 4 years. I would really take a hard shot on Leo Chenal. And we're seeing right now, the Chiefs are kind of unloading a little bit. You know, they've traded Trent McDuffie to the Rams. Jalen Watson is going to hit the market as well. This defense is getting taken apart. This team might be getting taken apart. So we shall see what happens. All right, Dan. Yep, I'll keep cooking for you, babe. I got you. Let's go to cornerback. All right, we're looking for some depth here. I don't really think the Jets need a full-time outside cornerback. I think they would go with Brandon Stevens and Azareye'h Thomas outside and Jarvis Brownlee in the slot. Now, if they want to bring in a developmental project in the draft in the middle rounds, I can see that happening. But let's go through some of the players. Now, I want to mention Riq Woolen only because ESPN projected him as a fit to the Jets, and he knows how to find the football. He's allowed a 76 passer rating since coming into the league, 8 interceptions, 20 pass breakups. He's in the 93rd percentile in forced incompletions. And he's surrendered only 3 touchdowns in 2025 on over 600 coverage snaps and has recorded at least 8 pass breakups in every season of his career. He and Mike McDonald don't seem to be getting along all that well, though, so he could hit the market. I see we got a bunch of new people coming into the chat. Hey, welcome, new folks. Feel free to leave a comment. We're going through basically the game plan for Jets free agency. Be sure to hit that thumbs up button if you haven't already. 15 thumbs ups, 15 likes, and we will spin the wheel in a little bit. So Riq Woolen's one. Nashawn Wright. Now, Fox Sports projected him as a good fit to the Jets. Now, Wright played for the Bears this past season, and pretty much if you played for the Bears and you played in the secondary, you had a fine season, okay? He played over almost 1,200 snaps after suiting up for just 272 through his first 3 years. This past year, former third-round pick, grabbed 5 interceptions, good in run defense. The problem is he allowed 800 yards in coverage, 5th most at his position. But he is a playmaker, okay? He needs to become more consistent, a little bit more disciplined. Not saying I love it, but we shall see. Eric Stokes, former Packer, dominated in coverage, 75 PFF coverage grade, a 77 passer target when allowed, at a 12% forced incompletion rate. He's only 26 years old, but he's been a little inconsistent with injuries and things like that. I don't know if it's the right fit, but he is intriguing. I thought about mentioning Asante Samuel. He just doesn't really do it for me. All right, and then we go to James Pierre. Now, he stepped into a starting role for the Steelers, became a very good high-end coverage option for Pittsburgh. He's a former undrafted free agent. I love those UDFAs that overachieve and prove people wrong. I love chips on their shoulder. I love pissed-off football players. You know what I mean? But he had an 88.9 PFF coverage grade, across 255 snaps, 9 pass breakups, which is really good, allowed under 46% of his targets to be caught. So he only played 400 snaps last season total, but he was very good in coverage while he did it. So is he a bit of a lottery ticket? Do you take a chance that 1 year wasn't a fluke? So James Pierre. I look at other guys like Kobe Durant. Not excited. Allowed 8 touchdowns in coverage. People talk about Kader Kohu, the Dolphin coming in. You know, the Jets hired one of the Dolphins coaches as their defensive coordinator. Do they bring in somebody from Miami? I don't want Kohu. Number one, he gets hurt a lot. Number two, 18% missed tackle rate last year. And oh yeah, he was coming off a torn ACL. Pass on that. We don't need high missed tackle players. We had enough of those last season. The player, and if I had to bet on one player coming to the Jets this offseason, it's Amik Robertson, the Lions cornerback. He had a career year in 2024, had a 63 defensive grade from PFF. I think Robertson loves AG. AG loves Robertson. I don't think he's going to quite have the market that an Anzalone would. I think Robertson is good to come in sort of that depth role, be that third outside cornerback. So that's what I'm looking at there. Now, as far as safety goes, I need a splash. This is the position on defense where I want a splash. On offense, it's center. I'm hoping for Linderbaum or McGovern in the worst way. Okay, but center and safety, strange. But those at free agency, I want splashes there. Now, a couple players I would look at. Jalen Hawkins. Would New England let him go? Very under the radar player on that defense, but he graded top 10 in both run and coverage last season. That's a player I'm looking at. Nick Cross from Indianapolis. He is linked with the Jets. According to ESPN, the Jets have already talked with Cross's representatives. He's been a little inconsistent, but Frank Reich was his coach when he was drafted by Indianapolis. Cam Curl, you know what? Allowed only 1 touchdown in coverage all year, came up huge in the playoffs, huge. But we know the Rams are going for it. They traded for Trent McDuffie. Are they going to allow Cam Curl to hit the market? It seems like the Rams are going to do everything they can to keep their best players, and it's hard for me to imagine they're going to let him walk out the door. We go to a couple of the Bears. Again, more Bears secondary players. Bring me some of those guys. Kevin Byard, if you want a veteran presence, you bring him in. 7 interceptions last year. A consistent playmaker. We know the Jets need playmakers on defense at every freaking level. Byard would. I need a veteran in between Stevens, Thomas, and next to Malachi Moore and Jarvis Brownlee. I need a veteran there who can quarterback them, who can line them up, who can teach them how to play good fundamental football. Byard could do that. Jaquan Brisker, interesting too. Still only going to be 27 years old. Jalen Thompson from the Cardinals. That's an interesting one. If you want to talk about bringing in a former Cardinal. Not Kyler Murray. Bring in Jalen Thompson. Excellent in coverage. Tackles incredibly well. A couple other guys. Alohi Gilman. 6th-round pick of the Chargers in 2020. Was traded to the Ravens. He's played over 3,500 snaps. The best season of his career, though, was in 2023. Had an 86.1 overall grade. 7th best safety in football. He's hitting the market. I'm interested in him. Kobe Bryant does his best work against the run. Reed Blankenship, a lot of people are interested in Reed Blankenship of the Eagles. I would tell you this. If you're okay using him as a box safety, fine. He's a very good run defender. In coverage, he stinks. This past year, he allowed a 116 passer rating when he was targeted. He can't cover. Just can't. And this is a good offseason to get that center fielder safety. Okay? Now, if you're bringing him in, and you're drafting like Emmanuel McNeil-Warren or a Dylan Tiedemann, if you're doing that, then we could have a conversation. But you do not sign Reed Blankenship to put him, to play him like he's Ed Reed or somebody like that. You don't do it. The safety I would go after is Brian Cook of Kansas City. The Jets want him. Cook has been a part of 2 Super Bowl winning teams already. He's a natural-born leader, very well respected, good athleticism, solid coverage skills, still very young, doesn't miss tackles. I think it's a home run. I would go after Brian Cook. So, Dane, you say keep cooking. I literally want to cook with Brian is what I want to do. And then it comes down to kicker. I got to talk about kicker. What will Nick Folk do? Will he stay? Will he go? He's in his early 40s. The reports are he wants to come back for one more season. But what if he doesn't? He is a free agent. What if he does leave? What if another team is making him an offer? Maybe he wants a shot at winning a Super Bowl and he goes to another team. I got to tell you, the unrestricted free agents are not exactly promising. Eddie Pinheiro, Daniel Carlson, those two are fine. Maybe Joey Sly, but that's about as good as it gets. You got some good restricted free agents like Brandon Aubrey, who's amazing. Jake Moody, Jake Bates, that's really what you're looking at. If Folk doesn't come back and they don't sign either, I'd say Pinheiro or Carlson, then I think it's a situation. You bring in two guys, you have a competition, and then you just look to see who gets let go during the cuts. Because you could always sign a kicker late. You know, you could always bring a kicker in last minute, even after week 1 of the season. We know how it goes. Greg Zuerlein, I don't think that one's going to quite happen. I think his days are well past. All right. So that's the breakdown of free agency. And as we know, Monday is the first day you can legally negotiate, and Wednesday is when the signings are announced. And guys, can I just say this to everybody listening, everybody within the sound of my voice? The tampering period starts at 12 p.m. Monday. If nothing is reported for the Jets by 3 p.m., please don't put up a post. Please don't put up a tweet. Don't call your friends. Don't text them and say, "What are the Jets doing? They're asleep at the wheel. Can somebody wake up? Bougie already. What are we doing here? We got to sign somebody. Bring back McCagnon. I miss John Idzik. Oh! Can we please not do that? Can we please be better than that? Okay. We know free agency in the NFL hits hard. We know it's going to go quickly. But we know the Jets need to sign a lot of players. It's not a situation where they should just sign like Trey Hendrickson and Tyler Linderbaugh and call it a day. Okay. They got to use it wisely. There's room to make one or two big splashes, but sign several good players. Guys who want to be here, guys who are willing to be here. Okay. Because right now we have that question: who wants to go play for the Jets? We're going to find out who wants to come play for the Jets. And is there a Jets tax that needs to be paid? Do you have to overpay these guys to get them in? Well, newsflash, most guys are going to go wherever they're paid the most. That's just the truth of it. They could say they want to win. They could say, I just wanted to be appreciated. Translation, they wanted this, baby. This is what they want. They want the moolah. Show them the money. That's what it's all about. But is there a Jets tax? You do have to factor that in. We don't know. We could speculate that there is, but nobody knows for sure. But I'll tell you what, I'm very excited that we get to be back together next Wednesday to talk about it, to see what happens. And who knows, maybe some news will break right in the course of the show. Who's to say? Maybe I'll ask around. Maybe we can get a guest on. That way we could break news together. I think that'd be fun. So, yeah, I think I'll ask around. Let's see what we can do. And maybe that will happen. All right, guys, I'll tell you what. I think it is right about that time. Yep, it is just after 8 o'clock Eastern. Every week, you know what happens, don't you? Of course you do. Every week, I head down into the labyrinth of Jets knowledge, and I bust open the books. I dust off the Encyclopedia Britannica. I enter the Jets dark web, and I, Watsu-K99, challenge you, the most loyal fans of the most loyal fan base in the National Football League. Just how much do you know about your New York Jets? So, if you are ready, and I trust you are ready, let's play Jets trivia. Now, I had one question in a question in mind. I was actually going to do a question for the late Lou Holtz, who passed away I think today, actually. Was the coach of the Jets in 1970. You know what? I'm going to go with the hard question here. We're going to do a Lou Holtz trivia question out of respect for Mr. Holtz, a very, very good man. Just was not meant to coach in the pros. It's really that simple. Didn't even make it out of one season before he resigned. So he was the coach in 1976. So we're going to go back a ways. If this question's too hard, I do apologize, but I want to do a 1976 Jets question. The question tonight goes like this. Who was the Jets' leading rusher in 1976 with 724 yards? And I will tell you right now, it is not John Riggins. The last season that John Riggins was with the Jets was 1975. By 1976, he was playing with the Washington Redskins. Come sue me, politically correct police. So, how well do you know Jets football from the 1970s? This was a crappy year, but I can tell you this guy did play with the Jets for about 5 years. So this was not like a one-year guy and he was gone. So 724 yards, was with the Jets, I believe, 5 seasons. Went on to work in the NFLPA for a period of time too. And of course, I will try to do some short videos as the news comes out, but with my job, it is very difficult to do that while I'm working, but I will at least make an effort when I can. It's just very hard to make promises like that. So. All right. All right. The Jets' leading rusher in 1976. Who was it? I had a feeling this might be a little hard, but I saw a few people came into the chat, so I figured we would at least give it a chance. If it's too hard, it's too hard. So, but again, I want to do something for 1976 for Lou Holtz. Maybe I should have done a Lou Holtz trivia question specifically. I don't know. All right, Dane goes with Matt Snell. No, unfortunately, Matt Snell was no longer a New York Jet by that time. Yeah, I want to give you some clues. If you don't know the name, honestly, I will not blame you. But he was a Jet for 5 years. Yeah, Snell left the Jets in 1972. Danger going with Lance Snell, who's a linebacker. Yeah, so this guy was a Jet from he was a Jet for 5 years, went to Wake Forest. Was actually named to the all-rookie team in 1976, believe it or not. Hey, Eagle Fang, how you doing, man? Yeah, I saw you in I think it was Jake's chat a day or two ago. So, am I ready for Tua? Hell to the no. I am not ready for Tua. I am not expecting Tua. I don't want Tua. I don't want any part of him. None. N-U-N. None. You ain't getting none. That's what I'm saying. So this was actually the answer to this question. This guy was the first Jet ever to lead the team in both rushing and receiving twice. It was actually pretty productive. Blocked very well. And was with the NFL Players Association for 22 years. This guy was a sneaky good Jet. Was named Jets MVP his rookie season, too, that year. Does anybody know his name? Yeah, we're all going to learn something here today, about because I learned about him today, too, if I'm being honest with you. So, yeah, signed as an undrafted free agent, became Jets MVP his rookie season, 724 yards, named AFC Offensive Rookie of the Year for 1976. Went to Wake Forest. Was from the state of Georgia and worked for the NFLPA for 22. I've basically given his whole bio here. Finished his career in Kansas City for 2 years. Fortunately, broke his leg in 1980. And yeah, then when the Jets tried to claim him or activate him off IR, he claimed waivers and the Chiefs claimed him and finished his last 2 years in the Chiefs, playing 10 games over there. But yeah, 1979, 905 yards this guy had. Only had 8 touchdowns, though. So wouldn't get the ball on the goal line all that much. All right, I'm going to go ahead and just give the answer away. The correct answer, Yes, amen. Eagle Fang, rest in peace. And that's why we're doing a 1976 question. Is for Lou Holtz. Great man, great coach. Demon Deacon, yep, he is from Wake Forest. The correct answer is this guy, Clark Gaines. Now, if you don't know the name Clark Gaines, don't worry. I don't think I'd ever heard the name either up until today. Maybe I'd read it in a book, but yeah, Clark Gaines, 1976, played 14 games, 724 yards, 3 touchdowns, averaged 9.8 yards per reception, 2 touchdowns. And then in 79, 905 yards, almost 5 yards per carry. So he was a pretty good Jet during a time when the Jets were absolutely horrific. So yeah, Clark Gaines was the leading rusher in 1970. Eagle Fang knows him. Cool, very cool. Yeah. Maybe on one of the next raffle prizes on Jake's channel will be a signed Clark Gaines helmet. I wouldn't count on it, but you never know. Hey, anything could happen. Anything could happen. All right, everybody, I'm going to go ahead and call this a night. I hope everybody enjoyed the show. Hope you're having a fantastic week. I'm just getting through everything the best I can. New job is very draining, very challenging, but I am putting on a brave face and doing the best I can and just trying to keep up my energy. But yeah, today was a drain for sure. So, hey, life's not meant to be easy. And as Jets fans, we know how to get through that stuff, don't we? Damn right. All right, everybody. I want to thank everybody for joining me tonight. Enjoy the rest of your week. And I will see you all next week, same time, same place, with more content from you know where. The Wicker Chair. Have a good night, everybody. I'll see you.